Linda,
I think we're
I
good.
don't think you can advertise to everybody yet, but Kelly's having a boy.
I'm not saying anything.
Because I don't think she's even at school.
No, I haven't told anybody.
No, not yet.
All right, are we ready?
I'm ready when you are. Yay. Is that your first?
Okay, I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Perkins Public Library Trust for January 4th. Roll call, please.
All right. Valerie Hill.
Here.
Linda Barta.
Here.
Melissa Mills.
Here.
And Brian Huckabee.
Here.
Charlotte Perrick is absent today.
Thank you.
We're going to try to get you to talk as much as we can.
Item 2,
That's right.
consideration and action on consent agenda. A, approval of minutes from the December 7th, 2023 regular meeting, and approval of financial reports.
The louder I get, the squeakier it goes.
Y'all got some stuff done at the last meeting.
Trying.
We try.
We talked about color options, but we didn't make any decisions last time.
No, and that, once the contract goes to them, they'll do a submittal and give us some finish and color options. And then somebody more qualified than myself can give input on those options. I'm looking down there, Valerie.
Looking at you.
I love to give my opinion on things.
All right, do I entertain a motion for those?
I move to approve.
All right. Melissa.
Yes.
Valerie.
Yes.
Linda.
Yes.
And Brian.
Yep.
All right, item number 3, consideration of items removed from consent agenda. Nothing removed. Item 4, public appearance, petitions, communications, and personal appearances. None. Item 5, consideration and discussion regarding update from Brian Huckabee on the progress of the new library project.
There is no new progress. The back door is still not installed, and I'm sure Tommy's still trying to work it in. I have not been able to get hold of him, so I don't know what to do on that. Do still need to get that other door, which I dropped the ball. I should have had her add that to the agenda so we could address that other door opening on the back.
Gotcha.
So, but really no new progress.
No new updates. Okay. Item 6, consideration and discussion regarding next steps to the new library renovations.
Well, I think the next step, in my opinion, along with possibly getting this tax revenue, is find an architect who will do the full design and contract administration, since if we get a loan for the lump sum, I'm guessing we're gonna send it out to bid to do all the remaining work.
That's one package.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll issue one contract to one GC and
Gotcha. So do we go ahead and try to get an architect secured and go ahead and get that done with the
That's what
monies
I'm-
that we already have?
that's what I'm thinking we do right now. And then if we get an architect, I guess we can write that proposal to have Part A and Part B. Part A is design only,
Right.
Part B is contract administration. And if we don't get the tax revenue for some reason, then we already had the design aspect and we carry on like we've been doing.
Like we've been doing.
Have
One
we put out a request? A request for, do we have a proposal request written for an architect?
Well, I think you sent something to Bob. I think there was an example of something you did before. But, and I've kind of been trying to figure out who to send it to. I have a few. I've talked to one out of Tulsa, GH2, that I worked with on another job, and they do renovation type stuff, and they said they'd be interested. And then there's one in Enid that I've been working with on a couple other jobs that seem competent and able. So if you have any other recommendations, but I think that's something.
I would take it, I mean, I would take it to my firm. Like, I don't know what to tell them exactly what to propose.
What the next step is,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, but then I don't know if it's a question for Tammy too, because I know at some point I'm expecting we're gonna get the tax thing, I'm praying is gonna pass and we're gonna get the funds available. And when that happens, I've already decided Fire Ring isn't gonna bid on it, because I think that's a true conflict of interest.
Right.
And I don't know if it's the same
Yeah,
thing.
I don't know.
If your firm is, the design only portion, I don't think would be, but the contract administration could be. So I don't know if that's a question for Tammy.
Yeah, yeah. And half the stuff is, there's stuff that is legal to bid and work on. Just people might think it's not. I mean, or it might look like, oh, we are obviously benefiting.
But,
We're not helping.
no, I mean,
That's the whole point of having bids, isn't
That
it?
is.
Like, that's, you bid it out and the
Yeah.
lowest price wins, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I would
I
think.
don't know, it's hard for me to imagine a conflict of interest, but
Well,
I can't think of an architect with a bad motive. I can't think of a bad motive.
I can either. And your expertise on this board is
I thought
valued
you weren't
as
gonna
well
be able to
as
make it.
Brian.
I made it to this one. I was just,
Why
in
not
another
use the
meeting.
expertise that we have?
Yeah, exactly. We're fortunate to have you.
Just talking,
Well, I don't know.
the next step is try to get actual proposals for architectural services.
Okay,
It would include full design and contract administration, should we get tax funds to bid it out as a complete package.
yep,
And then I pointed out that when that day comes, I don't think my company would be bidding on that
right. Now, I think probably the best,
conflict of interest, but she was saying her company might want to bid on the architectural services, but I don't know if that turns into conflict too, when it gets to contract administration. Design, is not,
It shouldn't be.
but, so I think it may be something to run up the flagpole with Tammy and say, because if somebody like my firm bids on it, we're gonna take advantage of people we have that are already gonna donate services, and we could be low, because we're not gonna put profit on it, and we're gonna take advantage of local donated stuff.
Right.
But
I don't think,
somebody might look at it and say, well, wait a minute, that guy's on the trust, and his company got the job, and
Well, then you show them what the bids are. Well, here are the bids from the other companies, and this is
well,
what,
I think what we would do, or just off the top of my head, you don't own the company, so the agreement would be with whoever owns the company.
yeah.
Same with you, I don't, but we would, if the tax passes, which hopefully, I think it will, we will have between February 14th essentially and July 1 before we get any money. So we could do a request for qualifications or a request for proposals to send out to architects. And I'm sure we could get an example from your office or, you know, a go-by. And it'd be pretty simple, just design and, you know, completion. And then
And you could even do a construction manager type routine on the deal that,
you could.
instead of a.
Well, some of it, if we're gonna try to get money, some of it, like if we get federal money, we'll have to do the procurement the federal way, like I am on the new water tower and stuff, so we have to do an RFQ, have a scoring committee, and have like how we're gonna score it all written out, but I have a template for water and sewer, I would just change.
Would it be federal money though?
Well, if like USDA loan, then it's federal. There's several different ways to go, but
Then it turns into like prevailing wage.
it could.
And then there's a lot of smaller contractors that say,
They'll be out.
I can't do the paperwork and I'm not gonna do it.
The bad part is that it's probably gonna add 20% to the project, but I guess the reason they do that is people lied and cheated at some point. And so we all have to, because that's what I'm having to do on the water tower and stuff. So I don't necessarily see a conflict of interest.
Well, and I'm not worried about it. I just pointed out that I'd already planned to abstain from,
Yeah.
I mean, I'll still be in this role.
Right.
I mean, we can still play our parts, but
Well, and we could do, when it gets to that point, an RFQ, and if we do a scoring committee, we could just not have you two on the committee, and it could be those two and two
Charlotte.
library board meeting, or whatever, and somebody, whatever, to score it, and then, so it's all above board, you know?
so we'll have that gap between February and July. So do we go ahead and push the issue now on getting an architect on board and start that process and spend that money now? And have it ready, or do we wait?
I think I would wait, because the architects will want to know it's a viable project before they put a lot of time into doing the bid, I would think.
Well, but I was saying we could do a Part A and Part B on the proposal. Part A is design only,
Yeah.
which we could use regardless
Anyway.
of.
Well, if you could fund it, yeah,
So we'd have Part A, design only, and Part B is contract administration.
we can send out, or you guys can send out an RFQ without any formal action of the board, because you're just asking for people to send in qualifications or a request for proposals or whatever. And then however that's done, it's a little weird with the trust, because there's no management in the trust. Like, you know, on the other side, I do a bunch of the stuff over there, and then I report back to the commission, this is what our committee came up with. So that'd be a little weird, but you can send one out, and I'll obviously help. I mean, I'll type up whatever, and,
Well, what do we think? Do we go ahead and, I mean, we kicked it around for a little while. Do we go ahead and,
But it would still be beneficial for like our electrician and our plumber and all those people.
yeah, we'd still have full
Correct.
set of plans, and then if for some reason, which I still think we will get the tax thing, if we don't, then future grants,
Right.
all that, we've got a more
A
complete set.
more complete set.
Yeah.
would we do or would you do if the tax were to pass, we're looking at a month. If the tax were to pass, would the request for proposals or qualifications look any different than if it didn't pass? I mean, we're really
Oh, it'd just be
36
that,
days or something.
it'd just be that Part A, Part B thing.
I think you
If-
could say that, you ask for their proposals, and you can even say you're not going to hire or choose one until after you
After
know.
that date.
Which is not
That far.
that far away.
Right.
I mean, find out in February if someone has you
Qualification.
pick who you're working with, and then you can also then say, we want you to do A and B. We want
But
you to do
that
A
B
and-
component, I guess, if we did the USDA route, then that adds a little more red tape and paperwork.
See, they may want it
For-
done.
For the architect too.
That's what I would be concerned about, is if you go through the process now and you don't check one of the boxes that we would need for
To
funding,
go back.
then we'd have to go back and start over again.
Gotcha.
I think probably just wait, because I think you'll have another meeting before the vote.
Right.
But we can,
But that would be the only other aspect we would throw at them, is if there was federal money. So I think we could do a loose
We could maybe,
RFQ to some of these guys and say, we need design, contract administration, and it may be federal money.
if it were me, I would sit tight and wait. And then if we find, because when it passes, we'll have between February 14th and July 1 before we get any money. But at that time, we can also be talking to lenders, or if that's the route everybody decides to go, we can say, hey, USDA, what can you offer us? Who can offer what? And then what are your requirements for procurement and contracts? And then, so we make sure we meet all those, because they will make us turn in all that stuff.
So if you hire an architect after it passes, and you don't want to sign a contract with them until you know whether you're gonna be using federal funds or not, right? Because that might impact your contract with the architect.
What I'm saying is I wouldn't do an RFQ or anything until it passes and we talk to, if you're considering talking to lenders, that's an assumption I'm making, but if you're considering borrowing the money and using the sales tax to service that debt, I would wait until we have talked and settled on a lender.
First.
Because Payne County Bank may say, well, if USDA will do 3%, we'll just do 3% to help you guys out, and then
There's no red
then a
tape.
lot of that stuff goes away.
Right.
At the same time, they may say, well, we can't meet their rate. Because when you talk to the lenders, like when we do stuff through the federal ARPA money or the CARES Act money or the state revolving fund loans, each of them have different requirements written into their paperwork for the people they have to answer to in DC.
A lot of times when it's prevailing wage, there's some federal local agency that's like DOT or DEQ or somebody that has to review those prevailing wage reports. It's not always,
Correct.
not necessarily the architect.
No.
There's a few more pieces of red tape for the architect, but a lot of it, the feds have to do on their own.
I would say that all of the architects are doing that, they're doing that on some project, because every school has
Yeah.
been using.
Well, what I'm saying is, I'm not necessarily speaking of the Davis-Bacon Wage Act or anything like that. I'm speaking in how does the request for proposals or the bidding process need to take place to
To meet
meet
whatever.
whatever qualifications is. And the problem right now is we don't know whose qualifications we're gonna have to meet necessarily.
So you're saying we may get ahead of the game and then we get a USDA loan and they're like, well,
And then
wait.
we gotta turn around and go back. Because if Payne County Bank says, we're gonna loan the money at this rate and everybody's happy with it, then we're still gonna have to follow the State Competitive Bidding Act, which is a little bit different than if we get a USDA loan. We're gonna have to follow the federal procurement, and so I would hate to come up with a deal and some architect has invested money into responding, and then we say, well, we have to do it again.
Well, I understand that part, and my only question would be, thing to consider is, the design time's not gonna start, no one is gonna start designing anything or doing anything for us until after we find a
Sure.
lender?
Well, the only reason I brought it up too is I think if we're chasing the tax money, if we have an architect or we have one identified, even if they're not contracted, it's just another feather in our hat. We can say, hey, look, we've got somebody on board ready to jump, do full design, get this thing going. That it's just
Well, we're not gonna have that person on board
not
probably
before
by the time the
February.
vote happens anyway. What I'm worried about is the paperwork on your end or on our end.
On the front side.
Being in, not having a certain box checked. Because if you have to follow ARPA money, if for some reason somebody in the legislature at the state says, hey, we found $10 million in ARPA money, which could happen, you never know, and you can apply for that. ARPA has different requirements on how you score things than regular federal money like through the state revolving funds.
Well, and then back to the loan though, assuming this goes through and a loan is gotten, is that gotten by the trust,
I believe so.
the city?
I believe it's by the trust, but that's something we'd have to have somebody look into the trust. But Title 60 trusts in Oklahoma can take on debt. The city of Perkins, the general government city of Perkins cannot take on debt by statute. So Perkins Public Works Authority is a trust, it takes on debt. The Plaza Trust can take on debt. The Library Trust should be able to take on debt.
So
That also creates all kinds of reporting issues.
Well, that's what I was gonna say, so if we did that, part of that loan amount would need to cover the trust probably paying either the city or a third party to administer the loan.
There'll be, somebody will have to be involved, yes.
Because I'm sure we're not gonna sit here every month and pull out a checkbook and,
Well, now,
'Cause
you
the-
might be approving purchase orders to service the debt,
you know,
but as far as, there's gonna have to be somebody that's gonna be very intimately involved with whoever's on the other end, whether it's a loan officer or somebody in some federal agency that administers grants. And that's where things can get really hectic because, you know, grant money is awesome, and then when you get into federal grant money, sometimes it becomes a double-edged sword. Because you're spending all your time jumping through hoops.
well, it'd be
And
my
that's
vote,
where-
hopefully we can find a suitable loan from a local lender. And
Possible. But, and if that's the case, you'll still have to do all the competitive bidding stuff, but I can help with that. And
But that would be a one-time, we'd competitively bid RFQ for an architect, and the architect then would run the process of competitively bidding for GC.
And then another thing you guys will have to think about is who do you want for legal counsel? Because you're gonna need, you could potentially need, I don't know if USDA would require it, but you may need like a bond counsel, a finance attorney, and an attorney to represent the trust through the proceedings to make sure everything's done correctly. So you could also need a finance advisor. Now, I have those people through the city that we use that the trust could contract with, but that's an expense. So some of your money that you have in the bank now could go towards that. And sometimes they'll structure a note where those fees will come out of the note. It just depends on what can be done at that time.
So if this, okay, so the sales tax goes into the city library account, because that was something that she wanted to make sure that I understood that at the city commission meeting, and I said I did. We did understand that. So since that money is going into the library account, how can the trust propose a loan when that money is actually in the city account?
We would have to structure it where that money is being pledged through, it would probably be done through resolution at the city commission that
Okay.
the trust is gonna take on debt. These funds were brought in to service the debt. I think that's how it would have to go. And that's why you'd need to hire an attorney, whether it's our attorney or some other attorney, to draft that stuff up.
And it's still, I mean, there's so many layers of weird stuff. Because we're leasing the property. If we get a loan to make improvements on the property, it's still the city's property. So is the project a city project?
No,
A trust project?
Well,
And is it tax exempt and does it have to be bonded?
it'll have to be bonded and there'll have to be indemnity. It's a city building, so there's a little bit of a partnership that takes place, but a 99-year lease would, and that's another thing, like for the lending agency or federal money, is they may say you have to own the building, and then maybe we figure out a way to transfer ownership of the building or something. And they may say a 99-year lease is fine. I can't imagine a lending agency being concerned.
A city organization,
This is an absolute secure.
yeah.
I mean, it's tax money if that money gets diverted to something else, people go to jail.
But it's just a weird scenario I've never,
Welcome to my life. Now you know I walk around frustrated, looking mad all the time.
Well, I just wanted to make sure we addressed that, because I was like, how did that play out? But,
Yeah.
okay.
And for some of the stuff, like you could be if for some reason you didn't, or a loan wouldn't work out or whatever, and you wanted to, and the tax passed and the money was at the city, then you would recommend to the city commission, kind of like, I think there's 4 agenda items on the city commission for EFS or something like that, whatever.
That's it, yeah.
So it would just be a recommend to them, and they're gonna I mean, that's what the money's there for. That's why we wrote the tax that no matter who's in any of our places,
Right.
that's where the money goes. And it'll be audited.
So I don't have to be personally qualified to take on the debt of a cooperative
You,
as a trust.
A member of the trust.
As a
no,
trust member.
no,
They're not looking at my credit score.
no.
It is good, it's good.
No, they would be.
But I
no.
don't know if it's like
Your name.
99
Well,
year.
if we're talking to a lender, they're gonna say it's an extension of the city.
Yeah, you just,
It's a
when we're
city
talking
board.
to lenders, you would say, or I'll say, or whoever says, this is secured by tax dollars.
Dollars.
Here's, the voters voted it in, there's 10 years of quarter cent. It's projected by a financial advisor, not by, John Doe. It's by a professional to bring in $1 million. And there's no risk. It's not like buying a car and you lose your job. We can't stop.
City's still gonna be here.
Yeah. And it'll be more complicated in 10 years, I'm sure.
I'm sure.
Well, I just thought of another architect, so I've got 3 identified that I'll send them a loose email and just get some generic feedback on. I know 2 of them are interested and able. The 3rd I'll figure out.
And if we get to the point where we do proposals or qualifications, I would want to get wording maybe from you or you on what, I know like 80% of it's fluff and federal wording, but like what does the architect actually need to do? I won't have that wording.
Well, and a couple of these guys do, I know well enough, they can send me some,
Canned wording,
stuff that they have received on other projects that we can
just to get them in, because they'll have to visit the site and do all that.
So beyond that, next steps over there, we still need to get the back door installed, still waiting on a roper. We need to order another 3-foot door to put in. Cap flashing, I've talked to Strader about on that north wall and south wall, that we basically, I think what we're gonna do is leave what's there, maybe just cut off the vertical leg on the outside, and then just put a new cap piece that laps back over the original, because it'll have to be extended out to go over the ephes and the little brick columns. So we'll have to rework that a little bit.
What's the second door? Where's that second door go?
It's on the back. It's already there.
It's our actual
And it's just a
egress door
3-foot door.
out of that hallway.
Oh, okay.
So we have the double door, the new one sitting down there that comes out of the back community room. There's a
Okay.
3070 comes out
That's
the
our
back of the hallway.
Old bathroom door.
Okay.
So there's a few other little loose ends that kind of go along with the work that's there, so. And we've got the contracts that she's gonna send me, I'm gonna edit a few things, and then we'll have those ready to go to the subcontractors. I've got the one you sent back on the sandblasting
Yes.
that I hadn't sent to him yet, because like I said, I was trying to hope to get it paired up a little better so we don't go sandblast and then it's weeks later before we do anything else, so. The main thing I want to do, I gotta get the masonry one done, because there's lead time on the brick, so it'd be nice to get that one done, he can order the brick, and then it's a waiting game, waiting on Acme. So, in the meantime, we can be picking ephes colors and,
Did you have someone come in and look at that door and see if there were, at the front door, where there was some leaking?
yeah.
Did they get
And
that
I
fixed?
think he got it fixed.
Okay, good.
Yeah, that was, I don't know, 2 months ago he came in.
Okay. I had failed to ask you last month.
Didn't Steve Luster come get a key? Does that sound familiar? You might
Maybe,
not.
I'm trying to think, well, we've had a couple come in, I wanna say maybe I've even met Roper or something, cause he asked about a key and then he brought it back, and then I'm trying to remember who.
That's all right. I know he came down and tidied a few things
Somebody
up.
has, last little bit.
But we'll keep an eye on it. If anybody's down there and sees any water inside the front door, we'll try it again.
All All right, any other discussion regarding next steps? Item 7, consideration and discussion regarding grant opportunities. Last month, somebody asked me about the T-Mobile grant, when the next cycle of it is. April to June or July is the next cycle. So hopefully we'll have some of that NEPA stuff done and we can take some pictures and be able to submit those and then look at whether or not we want to go after another grant at that point. But I did check the grant cycle so I could see when. But at that point, we'll also know sales tax, we'll also know some other pieces. But I mean, I still think we go after what we can to help, because even if it's not helping with construction, it could be helpful for, you know, materials or furniture or other areas that we will
We
need.
still have the whole parking lots over where
Right.
we're at.
Yeah, that parking lot and the back, getting that all.
Yeah, because to fix it up proper, we kind of need to tear out all the asphalt and start over.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, I still think we need to still look for and go after some things, if, you know, if we have that availability. Any other discussion on that? All right, item 8, consideration and discussion regarding the special combined meeting to be held with the City of Perkins Library Board on January 10th of 2024.
Finally gonna happen.
Yeah, it's set. We know when it is.
It's at 5:30.
At 5:30 at the Vassar Center. And I understand you're making something for us?
I will. I'm not sure what yet, but it'll be good.
Okay,
Okay,
I will bring a dessert of some sort, but if there's other things that we can contribute, would you let us know?
I will.
Okay,
And along those same lines, we'll have the PowerPoint for the
okay,
sales tax there, but I've also emailed it to you all.
okay.
And then I will email in the near future our kind of marketing plan of attack for the sales tax. So you guys can look at it, suggest changes or ideas or whatever, so.
I made a call to the superintendent's office and they have, has to be approved, but a flyer going home with kids in their packets. They said if we could get something to them, they could get that approved so that we could send it like the week prior to.
We were planning on doing that, and the superintendent told us today we cannot do anything on school property or send anything home with the kids relating to a sales tax ballot measure.
Because I called before Christmas and they acted like they could do something.
Yeah, that's what he said today.
Okay, gotcha.
Because we were gonna set up at basketball games and wrestling matches with a
Right.
table and send with the Wednesday folders.
Right.
And he said no.
You could do it with the one that's not associated with schools, the basketball that's like just a,
Parks and Rec stuff.
well,
But it's held at the schools,
Yeah.
Gotcha.
because that's what we were gonna do that too.
yeah.
You can't, you can't say vote yes or no, but you can say vote, right? I mean,
I don't know.
like bond issues
That's a good question.
include sales tax. I mean, you can have people vote, you can encourage people to vote on a bond issue that is a sales tax increase, but the school can't take a,
A position.
right.
That's what I thought. But I thought,
Well, if we could do a vote thing,
just a vote, get out and vote.
that may be a different deal, but I didn't specifically speak to Mr. Ogle.
Okay.
Trent Dawes did, the Park and Rec director.
I spoke to his secretary is who I spoke to.
Yeah.
And she acted like it would not be a problem.
Well, because we send stuff with them all the time, but it's never been a political or whatever you want to call it,
Right.
of a political nature. I don't know if that's the issue or what, but
Well, I'll follow up.
you might reach out and
I will.
see.
I'll follow up next week before our meeting and see.
We've ordered banners, 9 banners. I'll send all this out to you, but we've ordered 9 banners. We're gonna order lots of flyers. We're gonna send a flyer home with, the utility bills at the end of this month. We're
Yeah.
created a web page on the city's website.
Good.
There's a lot of stuff that's gonna go on, so.
Well, we might reach out to maybe clubs and things that are not school.
We're gonna, I'm trying to get it approved to speak to the First Baptist lunch group. Any churches that have lunches that would allow us to come and speak would be good. I think they reached out to the Methodists, and then maybe River of Life or whatever it's called up there on 177 now. I don't think anybody thought about Walls Church, but that would be a good one. And then have you guys or one or two of you speak or come to talk or to educate people. The PowerPoint's really well put together. If you have time to look at it, it puts it into perspective, what we're really asking, so.
Okay,
And
sounds
we'll
good.
go over that at the January 10th meeting, but I feel pretty good about it.
All right.
I'll send you out the planning, our rough plan, hopefully tomorrow. We had it all done and then we found out we couldn't do the school thing, so we had to change our plan.
Well, we need friends on board with all that.
I know, so can friends attend this meeting also,
yeah.
or can we invite them to attend?
That's completely outside of the city, so that's up to them. They could absolutely attend.
All right,
I've sent them.
so if I reach out to them and send an email and say, please invite, you're okay with that? Do you need an RSVP so you know how many's coming?
Just maybe a rough estimate.
Count.
I'll probably plan on 25 or something.
I thought Friends was already coming to that.
This is just the library board and the library trust.
Oh.
Officially for the
Yeah.
city, because Friends is outside of the city's auspices. It's,
But we do want to give them a formal
but
invitation.
them and anybody else, I mean, it's open to the public.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, we definitely want them there. They can
yeah, I will do that tomorrow.
spread the word, and I'm sure they're all gonna vote yes.
And
Yeah.
they're gonna get the email from, I sent it to Jennifer as well, and she'll forward the emails that I'm sending out.
I've
PowerPoint,
already sent them a PowerPoint.
okay.
Gotcha, okay. Sounds good.
And when is that vote?
February 13th.
All right, any other discussion regarding the special meeting? All right, item 9, new business. Don't believe we have any. Item 10, adjourn.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Thank you, Valerie.
I second.
Thank you, Martha.
All right, then Valerie,
Yes.
Alyssa,
Yes.
Linda,
Yes.
and Brian.
Yep.
Great work.
Your voice is getting better, too, it's from this morning.
I hope so.
Yeah.
But if I get louder, it
Yeah,
gets
it gets
sweeter.
worse, yeah.
Hey, Bob, I did have one thing I noticed on this PowerPoint that we're not.
Oh, okay.